Like and subscribe to Life Uncut on YouTube, especially if you're overseas.
Yeah, we'll do a YouTube crossover.
No, you need to do that on your podcast. It doesn't help when you do it on ours.
If you're already here, then stay.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Keisha.
And I'm Brittany.
And today joining us for the podcast is former Australian representative athlete, Ryan Jon. Ryan also happens to be half of the Toni and Ryan podcast, a radio broadcaster and a dad. We've had the pleasure of chatting with Ryan's co-host, Toni. She came to our Perth live show, so you might have seen her live there, but she's also been on the podcast.
I would say the better half, but hey, prove us wrong, Ryan.
I've actually learnt my place within the Toni and Ryan podcast. My name is second for a reason, and that's fine. And when I said I was coming up here, because Toni's broken her foot, she can't travel at the moment, so she's in Melbourne.
Can you not travel with a broken foot?
Oh, she's in a moon boot and she's had surgery and she's like fully cooked it.
I feel like it's been broken for a year. I feel like...
Well, she broke it and then we sent her back to Australia and then she went to a surgeon and then they went, now you need surgery. So you kind of have to like start the recovery again.
Yeah.
But when I said I was coming up to see you guys, she's like, well, I've already met them. I went on tour with them. I did the Perth show. Tell them I said hi. And she was a real jerk about it. So
we love her. We love her.
Yeah.
So we have like high expectations of what you're going to bring today.
Oh, can I be honest for a second?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like you guys. Because
okay, well that's
Tell
the
us how
wrap.
you really
That's
feel
the
about
wrap
it.
on
you
the
know
podcast.
why? Is because she saw a picture. It might have been the two of you like at the beach, looking hot as fuck, wearing a bikini, and Bridge goes, "Oh, look at these hot girls, to be young again." And I went, "Bridge, I think they're the same age as us."
I'm 38.
Yeah, same as Bridget. And when she found out you guys were the same age, she was livid. She was like,
Oh, that's like the nicest
She literally
reason
goes,
to hate someone.
to be young again. And I was like, fuck, you're going to hate me.
Somebody literally said to me, I met a 21-year-old. And I had met her partner before. When she found out my age, she literally said, "Oh my God, it's so cute. He has old friends." She called me old.
Oh, old friends.
I know, we're at that age. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's where younger people are calling us old.
Do you feel old though?
No, I feel 20.
Same.
But still feel 20. I feel, this is the conversation we have all the time, right? I'll be 39 next August. So I'm just over 38, like 38 and a bit. And I keep saying, I don't feel old enough to have kids. And my fertility doctor is like, you've almost aged yourself out. You're on the other end, bro. Like, you need to wrap this up.
What's that? So we only Mabel's 2 years old. So Bridget, what's that word? That
Geriatric pregnancy. Yeah.
through all the IVF and the doctors come in, everything will go, oh, geriatric. Hang on, let me get and it's like a different shot and a different doctor. They go, oh no, there's an old bitch in there. Hang on a sec, love. And it's just like, and we're the same. We feel really young.
Which is double fucked because if you're using IVF, it's more likely.
Yeah, when we started trying, we weren't geriatric. When we started trying, we were good.
You're like, fuck you.
Yeah.
There's nothing more humbling than when someone calls you a geriatric pregnancy. And you know, they've lowered the age. I think it's like 33 now. It's pretty good.
Oh, it was 30. I thought it was 35. 33.
Yeah, it was 35, and I think they've taken it down a couple of notches.
We need to have a protest for this. We need to change.
I think it's based on science. So, but the name should change.
Yes.
What would you call it though?
Golden pregnancy. You know how they do like Golden
No,
Bachelor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because your golden years are when you're like 19, you're about to die.
But
Like,
did you know when the Golden Girls from the 80s, like that old sitcom,
Exactly.
they were like 45, 50
Yeah.
in that
No,
show.
they weren't.
They were
because they did a
it.
side-by-side with like Sex in the
Googling
City.
it.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is Sarah Jessica Parker at the same age that Blanche was. And like they look 40 years apart.
Yeah, they were meant to be in their
Google
like
it.
50s, I think, like young 50s.
how
Rest in peace, Betty White. Wasn't she? She was amazing.
old are the Golden Girls in the show? At the start of the show, Sophia was 79.
That's the
That's
mum.
the mum.
And then the other ones were 55 and 53. Blanche was
that.
53.
You're an actress by trade, aren't you?
Yeah, I have studied at NIDA and
So that
all
means
around the world.
You're only, 15 years away from your golden
Fuck
era.
you. What would I call it? Let's actually think about this because do you know what? Let's make this go viral. Let's change the term geriatric.
I don't think we get to choose. I
But-
don't think that you get to pick what goes viral and what doesn't.
Nah, so I'm like,
But if we say let's make it go viral.
so not to get all political with our good mate Donald Trump, but I feel like his strategy is like if you just say shit enough times, people just start believing it.
Yeah.
So why don't we just call it doing a Hockley?
Hockley pregnancy.
Yeah. So when did you get pregnant? I did a Hockley. And that just means like,
Oh, that could go multiple ways.
what's,
Like you conceived via a Hockley or
Keisha, if someone said to you, like if a friend came to you and said, I did a Hockley on the weekend, what would you assume that meant?
I would assume that it meant that you had plans and you cancelled them and you were at home watching a TV series with your dog.
Wow.
What's doing Orion? I had Orion on the weekend.
to be honest, I didn't want to laugh too hard at the doing a Hockley because cancelling on plans and staying at home. Like the last since COVID, like I used to go out and have a really fun time, and then it's like you have to stay home, and I liked it. And now since the doors have opened back up, I haven't. I've just stayed in.
Your personality became more introverted. Yeah. Also, we're like 10 minutes into this episode. We haven't even told you what we're going to talk about. We haven't started.
You've just proven the point. You've just proven the point of why they call us geriatric pregnancies.
Yeah. So we're trying to get pregnant, but Ryan wouldn't shut the fuck up, so we were sitting here for 5 years. I just want to tell everyone about the hospitality of Life Uncut before we get started.
Yeah, crack on.
Keisha's like, come on onto the show. I was like, great. She's like, I'll pick you up from the airport. I was like, great. And then 10 minutes later, she's like, sorry, bro, not coming to get you.
Sorry, you forgot that there was a factor in there that was actually quite kind. Or I wasn't sure if it was weird or if it was kind. Because
you offered me to stay at your house.
Yeah. And I need to add
creep.
a little bit of an explainer there.
Please, because when my wife goes, those hot girls, they want to stay at your house.
Sorry, Bridget.
Jesus
Imagine
Christ.
you're like, hey, you know those girls that you hate?
You know those hot young girls that are older than us?
Ryan and I were in radio at the same time,
Yeah.
but Ryan was like a couple of years above me, and he was someone that, sorry, not geriatric. You were more
geriatric
experienced.
regional radio announcer.
You had bigger shows. You had climbed the ladder, and
I was like one rung ahead.
no, you were like 3 rungs.
Yeah, I'd made it
ahead.
to Bendigo before Keisha did. So made it big time. Shout out Star
Where were
Bar.
you? You were Canberra. You were Perth.
Oh, that'll take all episode.
Okay.
Mildura, Toowoomba,
Wow.
Hunter Valley, Bunbury, Perth, Canberra, Kiss, Melbourne.
Okay, that's quite a climb, right? So we became like internet friends back in the day because it's a real radio thing.
All
that
the
you
regional
do.
announcers
Yes.
make friends with other regional announcers.
Yeah, and you kind of like help each other out when
And
it
you
comes to
just complain
content or
together.
like, yeah, you
Oh,
vent
actually,
to each
though,
other.
nothing brings people closer than having a common enemy and just going, hey, Keish, what's fucked? And she goes, same. And then you're like, we're best friends.
100%. And so we have had like a friendship for a long time. And so when you messaged me being like, hey, the podcast, and I was like, you know, if you need a place to stay while you're up in Sydney, we have multiple bedrooms. You're welcome to stay with us. So you're like, hope that isn't weird.
I don't think you said, I hope it's not weird. I think you just said
She
it.
goes, come for sure.
Yeah. How dare you stay in a hotel?
I've cut you a key.
She goes, I got 1 bedroom, come.
But
Yeah.
I did realise that could have come across as a bit strange, considering I actually don't know. Is this the first time we've actually met in person? I think it might be.
Shut up.
I feel like we've talked on the phone many times.
So Toni and I call that dot-comrads. So
Yeah.
you're like friends of the internet that haven't quite met.
I like it. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I walked in today and I think everyone does this, but we greet each other like we're old friends. And I was like, have we ever actually met? Or is it
I don't
just
think so.
it's just an internet thing, isn't it? This
No.
parasocial relationship.
If I had have known you, Toni wouldn't have been such a dick about the fact that she knew you guys first.
Yeah, gotcha.
So no, I confirm I haven't. But I've been
Well,
a fan from afar from a long time.
I haven't invited Toni to stay at my house. So, Toni, you are also welcome to stay at my house, but you did reject me. You turned me down. And so.
Because he's
I
married
then-
with a kid.
You turned me down for staying at my house. And then I followed it up with more hospitality because I'm like, oh, I don't live that far from the airport. Do you guys need picking up? And I was going to come and pick you up from the airport. And then yesterday, Britt changed the recording schedule. we had
Classic
to
Brit.
record, and there was
pulled a
something
Hockley.
before this. And so I did the switcheroo and I withdrew both of my offers
Well, I've got
to be kind.
Lily who works for us. She came with me, and when I said, "Oh, is there room for both of us?" Keisha went, "Who's the other girl?"
Yeah.
Like she was real fucked off. She's
No,
like,
there's
"I'm
no,
trying to."
there's no fucking room. That's why she canned it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, there's some other girl. Don't worry about it, bro. You stay at the Ibis.
I need everyone to know that these are jokes. Okay, I do not want any rumors going
That's
around
fine.
that I'm trying to
I
cut
love rumors.
Bridget's grass.
I will look, I will take responsibility. I did make her cancel you
Yeah.
because we did have a record that popped up. But
Who was it? Who bumped
It
me?
was me. I wanted to record earlier.
Oh,
It wasn't an interview. It was just me.
because I was like, oh, obviously there's like some big guest, so I guess that's fine.
Well, I had to rearrange, believe it or not, and I'm not lying. I had to rearrange my schedule because I was supposed to be interviewing Kim Kardashian.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking. So everything changed, and it still might happen. It's on the cusp, but
Is that later today? Do we need to wrap this up?
Britt was meant to be flying to LA tonight.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
I did bump you for Kim Kardashian. So
That's
sorry.
actually
It's a
a
flex.
compliment. Yeah. No, I'm like, of course.
Yeah.
And when I see that interview, and I hope that I do, I know that I played a small role in that.
You're like, thank you. But we're super excited to chat to you, and we ummed and ahed a little bit because at the end of the day, you're a fierce competition. You
Fierce.
are incredibly successful and incredibly good
Thank you.
broadcasters and podcasters. And I know you guys don't broadcast anymore, but
Yeah.
I think that is what also makes you good podcasters.
Mm.
And so it's definitely something that you think about. You're like, cool. Do we want to invite our competition on the podcast? But you guys are so fucking funny and you're so nice. And I mean, we're joking. We're always going to have our competition on the podcast.
I know you're kind of saying it as a joke, but someone said to us like, oh, who are your competitors? And I was like, I never really thought about it like that.
Rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, but even when I was in radio, I was like, I just wanted my show to be sick. And if my show was awesome and everyone else was as awesome, we were coming last, I'd prefer that than my show sucking but still being number one. I don't like,
totally.
I don't, yeah.
And we joke, there are no competitors. There is so much room for everyone. And I think that's what people forget. But we just want to say officially, I know we're 25 minutes in.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And do you have an accidentally unfiltered and a most embarrassing story?
Yeah, so how bad was lockdown in Sydney? I feel like Melbourne.
Bad, but not Melbourne.
I had a couple in Melbourne,
Yeah.
and then I had some in Sydney. Sorry for anyone who thought the Sydney one was bad. You've got no fucking clue what it was like in Victoria.
So during COVID, because I was working at KISS in Melbourne, for some reason I was like a part of providing essential information. Like we were an essential worker in the media, and I worked at Channel 7 and I was going to do like a cross or something, and my hair, like I looked like I'd been in lockdown. So I was like, I should get a haircut, but hairdressers were like closed. But I had like a piece of paper that's like legally Ryan is allowed to get his hair cut and a hairdresser is allowed to cut his hair because he's in the media, and heaven forbid, his hair be out of place.
You look untamed.
So I messaged this lady, and she's a hairdresser or a barber, and she goes, oh, you live in Richmond, right? And I was like, yep. She's like, I also live in Richmond, but my shop's ages away. Like, if you've got that piece of paper, instead of us both driving out to middle of nowhere, why don't you just come to my place and I'll cut your hair and it'll be fine. So I get there and I said, before we get started, do you mind if I use the bathroom?
Oh.
And I haven't told this story in ages, and I'm actually cringing and I want to cry because it's so embarrassing. It's a house where there's only one bathroom and it's like an ensuite. So like this girl I've never met, I have to like walk through her bedroom to get into the thing, and I used the bathroom and it was a number 2, and then there's no toilet paper there. And so
you had a shower.
Great idea. What would you do in that situation?
I'd have a shower.
Great idea. Shower, great call. A lot of people in the past was like, oh, why don't you think of this? But I was just like,
but imagine if you just went to someone's house and she just heard the shower start.
oh, it's like you're about to cut my head. You know, a little wash first or whatever. So I panicked and I was like, got to do something. I'm about to just sit at this girl's table for fucking 45. So I used her towel and then I just put it back.
No!
But what are you going to do with it?
Steal it.
But
You wash it in the sink.
Throw it out the window.
Walk back into the lounge and go, is this yours, sweetheart?
You think it was better to wipe shit on her hand towel and then hang it back up?
Yeah, but I faced it the other way. But
you know what that's for? People picked it up and wiped their face with it.
With the back of it.
You basically took a dump on her face.
Look, I'm not saying that this is the best course of action. All I'm saying is in the heat of the battle, that's just what I decided to do. I don't stand by it. I don't defend it, but that's what happens. And then if you want to know how to grow an online following, I said, if we get 1,000 Patreon members for Toni and Ryan, I'll call her, like on the podcast.
You told us, please don't.
And then all these people signed, because we just started and I was like, no one's going to sign up to what even is Patreon. 2 days later, everyone's like, there's 1,000 people. Let's hear this fucking call. And I messaged and said, can I call you on the podcast? And she goes, I know you do a comedy podcast and it could only be about one thing. Please don't call me.
She knew.
Oh, she said, don't call me.
Well, we called her and it rang out. And then I texted and I was like, hey, like, that was me. Can you answer? And she
barred you.
Yeah. She was also from Finland. And I think she got deported after that. So
that's not funny.
But like, no one's seen it.
Were those things connected?
Don't know.
I just don't know. I'm just confused at how in that moment you thought that was the best option. You know what I would actually do before I got in the shower? I would be going through her bathroom because she's a woman. There is something in there, like a wax strip or a makeup. Like there's
you were in there for a while. Yeah, I just waxed my asshole in your bathroom.
No, don't wax, you idiot. Short back and sides. It's to wipe your butthole.
This is like probably the worst part is like I get back out there and she goes, oh, I don't have any toilet paper in there. And I went, oh,
I used the end of it. You're like,
I just went, oh, I wasn't there. I didn't really know. And she goes, oh, okay. Like she knew the whole time. And like it was the most quiet haircut I've ever got in my life because it wasn't at the end of the haircut. It was like before I started.
would have just left. I would have left and just cut my own hair.
I should have.
Do you know what I love so much about this is that there's so much performative vulnerability on the internet. Like people pretending that they're kind of sharing a story that makes them feel a little bit vulnerable. That's one that is truly vulnerable. Like you really hung yourself out there. Well, and there's nothing that could happen where people don't
really hung that
don't like judge you for it.
Interesting.
So Ryan, I appreciate that you shared with us.
Thank you.
It does have to be one of the more embarrassing stories I've ever heard.
That's got to be top 3. We've been doing this 6 years.
Can we talk industry chat real quick?
Yeah, hit it.
You know how you guys do multiple episodes, radio shows. You kind of go,
how
am I going to think of something else to talk about? Like you're always trying to find a new story. So I get home after that and I walked in and Bridget goes, oh, haircut. Why do you look weird? What happened? Like she knew straight away because I was like real sheepish. And I told her and I was like, it was really embarrassing and awful. But I'm like, I think it will be a good story on the podcast because you're just so desperate for a story.
Everything's content.
Especially in lockdown.
But as you know, with all that stuff, you're like, yeah, I'll tell that story and tomorrow there'll be another one. Bridget goes, if you tell that story one time, it's not going to be...
You're the towel shit guy.
She's like, that will
haunt you,
stay with you for a very long time. And I was like, oh, you say that every second week. You know, I've been telling stories for ages. So a year and a half later, we're in Toronto doing a meet and greet. And this guy comes up with a towel with a manufactured poo stain on it and asks me to sign it.
Mate, you have made it. You have made it.
That's showbiz, baby.
That's Toronto, Canada. There's a Toronto in Newcastle. So that's international.
How many people listening went, oh, Newcastle?
No one.
When I'm doing my meet and greets in suburban Newcastle.
Sorry, you did regional radio. Let's not make out.
Where's Toronto? Is Toronto a good area of Newcastle?
Oh, look, Toronto is, you don't pronounce all of the syllables of it if you're from there. Toronto.
Do many people listen to this show from Newcastle? Because I can tell you they're the loosest people. If you ever get a story from Newcastle, just settle in because they're
Ryan.
fucking psychos.
Yeah, Ryan, come from
Exhibit A.
Dude, that's interesting though. Like, let's speak about Toronto, Canada.
Yep.
You have such a huge listenership overseas. Like, you guys go and do huge events overseas and live shows and meets, and it's actually quite amazing to think. And I'd love to know what that dynamic is like versus Australian audience.
Yeah, Australia's 35%. America, like the USA is 30, like just a bit less. Canada might be like 15 and the UK is 15 as well. And then
That's
New
amazing.
Zealand, Germany and like Scandinavia and stuff. But that was just like the TikTok algorithm doing its thing. It wasn't like we had like a strategy.
You reckon that was TikTok?
Yeah, well, like a few of the early videos just popped right off and there's so many more people, like high population that it finds. And because we recorded it in the KISS studios, there was this sense like, I don't know why, but when we're in the studio, people go, oh, it's a real show. And like, what's a real show mean? But people in the US were like, what's going on in Australian radio? Because these guys are fucked. Like, I can't believe they can say stuff on a real show. Because it looked...
Yeah.
It's because anyone can podcast, but like in the radio world and being a broadcaster, it's like slim opportunities. Like, so I guess people take it more seriously in
But
a
you've
way.
also got more rules. Like you've got kids in car rules.
But
and
it wasn't,
kind of
it was just like if we put a TV screen behind us in the room here, suddenly it feels like a radio show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a radio show, but just the look of it. And so it also sounds really cool to be like, oh, we're global, like what a flex. But it's actually a logistical nightmare because if we're like when you guys did your tour, we can't really do that because 80% of people will be pissed off that we didn't go to their place.
We did get that as well. Like you can't go everywhere. We got some people that are like, why didn't you come here? But you can't do it all.
Or we have our birthday party and we go, where are we going to have it? Because there's no like one place we can all get together and hang out.
Terrible problem to have, Ryan.
Oh, but actually, like say a brand comes in and say, oh, we want to advertise, we're doing this. And we go, oh, well, only 30%, like 70% of the people that hear your ad can't buy your thing because they're not here.
It makes it harder for sure.
Yeah. And so like I said, it is a great problem, but it's still like a kind of logistical tricky one.
Well, Ryan, today I'm going to try and get us a bit because I know
Please.
that all three of us could just yap for hours.
Yep.
But today there are a couple of really important things that we want to talk to you about to do with your career progression, to do with the kind of different paths that you went down with your adoption and also with your fertility journey.
Yep.
But I started the podcast by saying that you're an international athlete.
Yeah, that was a strange
Oh, sorry. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Oh, no, I
did
do.
that out of kindness
No,
for you
I know, I
because
do
I'm really proud
appreciate-
of your accomplishments in
Same.
volleyball, and I thought that you would like to share
Same.
that with everybody.
Yeah, and Brit's into international athletes. So
I'm an Australian champion bodyboarder, so whatever.
yeah, I get it.
Something that I actually didn't know about you until I did a bit of research for this episode was that before you got into broadcasting, you were an accountant.
Yep, an accountant. I've written a thesis in a corporate disclosure of the ASX top 50 on the intellectual property disclosure. Very interesting thesis.
I actually need someone to talk to me about intellectual property at the moment.
Well,
After
Ryan's
this,
your
called
guy.
me 13 years ago, yeah. So I worked in a bank at NAB for a few years and then an accounting firm for a few years. I used to do Hugh Jackman's tax
did you?
and Jennifer Hawkins. Fuck, she does all right.
Wow,
But,
I don't know
yeah.
if we can say that.
Oh,
Hey,
well, I
how
don't
does
work
Hugh
there now.
Jackman do? I've met Hugh Jackman. Lovely.
Yeah, lovely. They're great. Although, because you know how Jen used to work at Maya?
Yeah.
Like, she shouldn't have, got paid in Maya shares because I don't know if you've, checked
Did
the
is that how they
markets.
paid her?
Well, there's all those options, and they come to people like us and say, "What do you reckon?" And I go, "Maya, what could go wrong? Retail, it's going to be huge." And then,
Or do you advise her to take?
then the internet came. Fuck.
And Ryan had to get out of accounting.
and
Yeah.
that's why I got fired.
Yeah. So, and I actually just did an MBA, which is a business degree, because when COVID happened and I stopped doing radio, I thought that was it. So I thought I would have to go back to being a consultant, and and then I got too far into the course to not finish it.
So how did you end up in radio?
So I was this is the saddest sentence anyone will ever say, but the class clown of the accounting firm, because they're all nerdy accountants.
I would have said it was sadder to say I wiped my shit on a stranger's hand towel, but if we can go with that one.
Look, I've got lots of different, we'll go a top 5. But I used to get into the firm and be like, oh, holy shit, this guy on the train this morning, it was so fun. I'd come in and telling stories. And my boss said, if you want to tell stories, go get a radio job. And so 4 weeks later, I walked in with my notice and I was like, you know what you said when you were kind of being a dick? Well, guess what?
I did it.
I did it. And I just said I did a short course at Melbourne Radio School, a little 6-weeker, and then did work experience at TRFM Terrelgan in the holidays. And then I was like, I'm going to take whatever job I can get.
Yeah.
And so, then I did the regional route and I was on the street team at Nova doing the icy cold cans of Coke and stuff. So there was one time when I was an accountant from 9 to 5. I did student radio at night, and on the weekends I was a Nova Casanova.
If this makes you feel better, I was doing my honours in biomedical science, working on the street team on the weekends because I needed a job that paid.
I think biomedical science to what we do, your fall from grace is bigger than mine.
It probably is.
Yeah.
But it was similar. I was in an environment that even everybody in that environment recognized that I didn't fit there. And I'm not
Right.
saying that they bullied me. I mean more so that I just didn't have the personality of someone that was.
Sounds like they bullied you.
They did, and it was.
They locked me in a
It
cupboard.
was just
Yeah.
really obvious that I was the yappy one. I wanted, I enjoyed, the main thing I enjoyed about the day was the lunchroom and getting to chat to people. And so when I ended up finding an environment that I felt suited my personality more, it was actually quite relieving.
Yeah.
But there was a big part of me, and I'm sure you would have felt the same way, that felt like, oh, I've done this education and I don't want that to be wasted.
And you feel it's called the sunk cost fallacy, right?
Yeah.
You've already done it, you can't get it back. But even though it's got a cool name, doesn't mean it's not real, because you're like, oh, I've done all this. I feel like I've wasted all that time. And I definitely went through that. But the HR lady at Picture Partners, what a legend she was, because I at the time, no kids, no partner, no mortgage. She goes, hey, give it a crack. And if it doesn't work out, give us a call. You can come back. And so I kind of went, oh, well, what's the worst that could happen? And I always had this thing I'd hate to be, as old as Brit is now, real old. And then,
Geriatric.
but to look back and go, oh, I wish I had of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now's the time. And if I try and it doesn't work out, I'll actually be quite happy knowing that at least I tried and that's okay.
I remember exactly the same thing. It was only a few years ago that I stopped working in a hospital. So
Yeah.
I remember doing overnight shifts at 7 a.m. in my scrubs, would go and meet Laura and would record a podcast episode, just trying to hustle. And exactly what you said, Keisha, I think people that are attracted to this industry, you can always tell. You can always tell that they are that kind of a personality. In I would be cracking jokes throughout the night in emergency. And people are like, this is not the time.
We're all
It's not the time to make it that
During
joke.
emergency.
Well, you got to keep the vibe alive. Not during an emergency, but during my emergency shift. So, I would be making...
my leg's falling off and they're like, knock, knock.
Who's there? Not your leg.
But if there's a bunch of us on night shift, I'd be the ones wanting to entertain people when it's on the
I was
downtime.
going to pause for one of the greatest jokes Keisha will ever tell in her life. Knock, knock, who's there? Not your leg.
Oh, that was funny.
Wow. I'm going to have dreams
I'm
about
not
that.
proud of that.
That's so. I mean, that is not funny, Keisha. You can't laugh at that. But yeah, it's exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
and it comes back to that. Like, you're not gonna know if you don't give it a shot. But it worked out for you. You didn't have to go back.
Well, not yet. But the thing is, though, I also don't have any qualms about like, you know, it's like a bit awkward when like someone does something in the public eye and then they like go and get a regular person job, and it's almost like, oh, like you felt like. But I've like, if I had to work next year, I've got the qualifications and now like a different kind of experience. Like I'd actually be totally fine, and I still see jobs now and go, oh, if I wasn't doing this, I'd love that job.
You know what's cooked for me is that, like, I don't know if it's the same for you with accounting,
Mm.
but so I did the podcast and my job in the hospital for a couple of years because I've never, for 13 years, I had an income, and I couldn't fathom not knowing what was coming in every week.
Toni, very risk averse. So I was ready to go with the pod, and Toni was like, nah, like we need to keep our jobs. Like it's too soon. And
Well, I did it for years, and then it came to this crucial point. So in my industry, I have a medical radiation license, and you have to do so much to keep your license.
Yeah.
And it came to the point where they messaged me and you have to do X amount of hours and training.
Yeah. Well, same as CPA for an accountant.
And they're like, you're going to lose this. What are you going to do? Do you want to keep it and you have to keep the hours up, or you want to lose your license?
What do you do? Do you look yourself in the mirror and go, "What? Like this is it?"
It was a huge decision.
Yeah.
So I actually can't ever go back. Oh no, not ever. I could, but you'd be almost going back to basics. So I've got to fucking make this work. I can't. This has got to work for me.
Well, Will Anderson, he was a journalist. I don't know if you guys know that.
Yeah.
But he sort of like burned the bridge because he's like, if I've got a good plan B, then I'll just end up doing the plan B. And he's like, I just have to like rip the Band-Aid and go for it. I'm not that brave. But also it's strange doing the business stuff because, and this is like the real nerdy side, is like we all work in like little businesses. So I'm like running a small business, and you'd be surprised how many of the old skills and stuff I learned are actually really valuable now. And that at least makes me feel a little bit less bad when I look at my HEX debt and I go, it's not a complete waste because I use a little bit of it. So it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I love that. I actually saw a clip of John Howard, of all things, talking on a podcast recently about politicians and how his advice to them is that before you get into politics, you should go and do a real job because it gives you life experience.
100%.
And like, it might be a little bit, big picture and that kind of thing, but there's not a part of me that regrets it. I definitely would prefer that the HEX debt wasn't as large, but no, I think it's cool. I think it's cool that, it's one of those things where it's like, if you feel as though you're not fitting in where you are or that you should take an opportunity. We get questions about this literally every week to the podcast for Ask Uncut. And I think we're big believers of like, take the risk. But you do
100%.
also have to be a certain type of personality. You are doing a gamble, and it's like, it's one of those things. I don't know if it's a regional radio thing for both of us. I know that we had our situations change so rapidly. Like you literally find out you're going to this town tomorrow. You find out your show has finished. You're not going back on air. Like it's all very immediate. And so I think we've learnt to be more comfortable with change. And I don't know, I feel like a bit of a cat with 9 lives. Like it will always work out. What might not work out as quickly as you'd hope, but like things will turn around.
Well, when I got the first radio job offer, it was probably less than half of the money I was earning in finance. And I was chatting to my mate Leonopoulos, who was like a big partier. And he goes, I'm at this rave in the middle of the bush. Come out and we'll chat about it. And I went, okay. So I drive out to the middle of nowhere.
Is it a bush doof?
Yeah, like a full bush doof. And he was like,
off his chops.
Yeah.
Sober.
Yeah.
For the record, allegedly off his chops.
He's off his chops. He's fucking off his chops.
He was proper going for it. And I said, oh, bro, like, I've got this crazy opportunity. Like, it's a bit of a risk. I don't know what to do. And he just like sweating his ass off. So he like grabbed my face with his 2 sweaty hands. And he goes, Dunny, my last name's Dunn. He goes, Dunny, the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. So you should do
Okay,
it.
Gandhi. You were like, okay, I'm in.
And then I said, you're right. And I decided there at a bush doof at 4 a.m. that I was going to do it. And then I run into Leon 4 years later. He's straightened up, found his community of people, very much a changed man, very happy for him. And I said, oh, man, like, I don't know if it's weird to bring up, but like you actually, without knowing it, probably had like a really profound impact on my life. And I said, because you said the biggest risk in life is not taking a risk. And he said, not only do I never remember saying that to you, I've actually never heard that saying before in my life.
The wisdom comes.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, you changed my life. And he goes, nah. And I think about him like every second day.
Like the crossover of wisdom and acid is probably quite strong. It's profound moments.
Yeah, that's how the mouse came to be with Steve Jobs, apparently.
What I will say is that we also encourage calculated, well thought out risks if they suit you.
Consult your own
See your
financial advisor.
Yeah.
But hey, something I do want to talk to you about that I think is really interesting, and I love hearing you talk about it in your own life and on your socials and your podcast. It's a bit more serious, but when you were 10 weeks old, you were adopted. And you talk quite openly about that and the journey that your adoptive parents took.
Yep.
Talk to us about that time.
Yeah, my birth mother finds out she's pregnant past the point of not having the child. Like it's I don't know what it is, but there's a certain, before 20 weeks you can decide to do whatever, but it was sort of past that. And she was from a really rough family, rough neck of the woods. And she was just so determined to not like to break the cycle. So she was actually 28. I grew up assuming she was 16, but she was 28 years old.
Like old enough to do it, but just not wanting to.
Yeah, or I just assumed it was like, a teenager or something. But she was going to night school to like better herself and get it. Because like her family, really tough life. And she's like, I don't want to bring a kid into this tough life. If I'm going to have a kid, we're going to have two parents. We're going to have the family home. We're going to be away from this. We're going to be in a safe neighborhood. And so my birth father was he finished college and was a backpacker. Like they met at a work party, like hooked up once, and like that was it. So he'd left the country by the time she'd realized. And this is like, it's weird, like 1987. You don't just like DM him and go, oh, by the way, we hooked up, I'm pregnant. Like, so he just kept traveling and had no idea. And she just decided that this child isn't going to grow up in this environment and it's not going to grow up without two parents. So it was just like really important to her.
So did she know him in terms of like, did she make a choice to not track him down? Could she have technically told him, or she thought it's just easier not to?
Oh, no, trying to be like polite as possible. Like they did not know each other very well.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's
they
fine.
met at a party.
Yeah, people. But I mean, like, did she know him enough to find an Instagram, or it was like long gone, this man was gone?
Gone. And again, the technology back in the day, and he was a backpacker. Like I got a letter from her and it's like, dear Ryan, like when you're old enough to understand, here's what happens. And I don't think she referenced his name. Like,
sure, it's just a hookup.
Yes. And so my mum and dad, who I now call mum and dad, they got married when they were 21 and they were trying to conceive for 12 years.
Wow.
So that a couple of rounds of IVF, obviously probably the technology wasn't as good. So, but after 12 years, so they registered to adopt children. And if you want to hear like a crazy, there's 1,000 couples in Victoria in 1987 that get signed off and say, we'd like to adopt a kid. And the government says, yep, you're approved, all good. And there's 15 children. And I often think like that's 1,000 separate lives that I could have had because you
I
move in with
goosebumps.
You move in with that family. They're really into soccer and they're Italian and like that's who you are now.
Or they're uber religious, or they're party animals, or they're hippies, or like whatever it is. You don't realize how many different paths your life could take.
And so my mum and dad were kind of like sporty, and my birth mum was sporty, so she kind of said, "Oh, I'd like him to go to like an active family if I'm allowed to say so." And I think she was allowed to kind of give a top 3 or give a recommendation. And so I'm born, I go to an orphanage sort of foster home for 10 weeks. I actually had surgery on my hip when I was 4 days old.
Was that so that you could become an athlete, just a bionic hip?
Yeah. They were just like, we want
Sorry,
this guy
is
to
this
be
an
sick.
inappropriate
No. Well, I had weird scars.
Slightly.
Every time I get asked about scars, I have a different story. But but they get me out of the hospital and the doctor goes, oh, the surgery's gone well, he's really fine. And sort of hands me to the nurse and says, oh, well, this kid's going to be fine, but he just needs like a lot of love and cuddles and stuff from his family. And the nurse goes, oh, well, he actually doesn't have a family yet. So my birth mother actually came back to the hospital just to like hold me and hug me for a few days.
Knowing that must be so hard.
I think like how could you, and like it must be so difficult because I just remember the first time I held Mabel and like the selflessness to go, no, I want this child to have a better life. Like I don't think I would be like as selfless to do that like she was.
Yeah.
And then so 10 weeks old, mum gets a call on a Thursday afternoon going, you've been approved, come get him tomorrow.
Wow.
And they've been on the waiting list for 2 years. So mum goes to work, she's a teacher, and goes, oh, I need maternity leave. And they go, great, when are you due? And she's like, tomorrow. Like, today's my last day. See ya. And
imagine the shopping list.
all the other teachers, oh, Mrs. Dunn's on maternity leave. Oh, when?
How did that happen?
The kid's here. And so moved in when I was 10 weeks. You know,
I'm breaking out of this crib.
yeah. I was going to get a lift from Keisha from the airport, but she didn't turn up. But yeah, so then I lived with mum and dad from 10 weeks old, yeah.
And it was never something that was a secret in your family, was it?
No, and I don't think it is. Like, I've spoken to other people. How weird's this? In my batch, you know, so there was 15 babies.
Yeah.
I met one of them.
That's
Coincidentally?
Yeah, so I was
In my batch.
So yeah, because I was like, "Hey, batch bro," and we like fist bumped. He's a lawyer, and we were getting when Mabel was born, we got our wills done, and he was doing it, and he kind of, tick this box. Any family history of this? And I go, "Oh, no family history. I was adopted." And he goes, "Oh, me too." And I go, "Oh, crazy! Like, what year?" And he goes, 1987. I go, "Oh shit, me too." What month? June. Same. He goes, "Were you at St. John Anglicans, whatever?"
Stop it.
Yeah. So he's 4 days older than me.
I got goosebumps again, man.
Yeah, but like his family could have been my family, and he could have got put and so
What was his family like?
his family seems pretty cool, and he's a lawyer, so he's done all right. You know what I mean? So Patrick. So and every time I see him, I'm like, what up, batch brother?
That's really cool.
Yeah. Why are we talking about my batch brother again?
I don't know.
I said it wasn't a secret in your
I was
family.
gonna say, so I talked to him. He was like, "It's the same," because you kind of just grow up knowing. And I've had other like adoptive parents ask me like, "How should I tell them?" And my answer is like, tell them before they're old enough to understand, because it just becomes like, when did you take your first breath? I don't know. It just sort of happened as I was growing. Like, and it's sort of the same. It was just so talked about.
It becomes your normal.
Yeah, exactly. And then so every time mum tells a really crap joke or says something embarrassing, I'm like, "Oh, that's how you can tell I'm adopted, because I wouldn't be related to that." And it's just became very normalized. Even just joking about it just makes it very normal.
Yeah.
And so Hollywood always like paints a picture that like the kid finds out on his 16th birthday and you're not my real mum, and they're really angry. Yeah, and it just, the reality is 99% of the time it's not like that.
Did you ever have thoughts growing up? I think there is a bit of a stereotype with kids that go through adoption that they're going to feel like they don't belong. They're going to feel as though, they have issues with validation or whatever it might be. Did you ever relate to that?
I definitely didn't feel like I don't belong. Mum disagrees with me in this, but I actually think if you looked at me and my mum and dad, I look like their kid, I think. So I never felt like I look really different or from a different culture. And mum was actually really strong on like, I don't want to take a child from another. She believed like a child should be raised in the culture that like their sort of bloodline and stuff. She's like, oh, because like each their own, but she was like sort of pretty strong on that. And
she also would have experienced the stolen generation. So
yeah, but my family's awesome. Like if they were crap, maybe I would have been like, this sucks. But because they were so awesome and supportive, and like I used to stay at my cousins all the time. We lived at grandma and grandpa's for a few months. Like we all got along so well that there was never, I didn't feel like the odd one out because I just fit in with them. And
back in 2017, so a few years ago, you posted a video thanking your birth mum for the life that she's given you.
Yep.
That went, when we say viral, that was like over 100 million views.
Yeah,
like
it was
that's
nuts.
That's proper viral. And I guess I want to know how your parents felt about you wanting to go and find out your history and your biological parents.
So I ended up doing an ancestry DNA test and actually found my birth father, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he was living in London, and just as an example of like, was mum supportive? She flew with me to London and met him as well. And now...
But he's American, right?
He's American, but he lived in London for 10 years. He's just moved back. But then his wife and my mum are like sharing recipes on Facebook and stuff, just being like travel tips and just like...
Your mum sounds so awesome.
What was it like? I mean, God, I got so many questions, but what was it like for your biological dad when you were like, surprise, you've got a grown-ass son?
Yeah, so he didn't know I existed. I knew that he didn't know I existed. He was like really adamant. He's like, I didn't know. If I had have known, I wouldn't have like left you. And he felt hella guilty because he was like, this kid thinks I've just left him and abandoned him, and I feel so bad. If I had have known, I would have come back to Australia and like done the right thing or whatever that means.
But can I just rewind a bit?
Yeah.
How does it work with Ancestry? Do you both get a notification that you've got a genetic relative somewhere else?
So I do the Ancestry DNA test because I'm just curious to find out that I'm 16% Scottish or, that. And then this lady, Cece's her name, she hosts a TV show in America and it's called DNA Detectives. You know those shows where they're like... And so she messages me and goes, hey, like, I'm pretty good in the back end of Ancestry. If you give me your password, I can like go in and like build out the trees and like... Because apparently you got to like put a bit of effort in. But I just, if you want to have a look, go for it. Didn't hear from her for months. Was like, oh yeah, whatever. I just gave my ancestry password to someone. Probably not a good idea, but here we are. I'm at a family gathering and my phone's ringing and I'm like, hello. And she goes, hey, Ryan, it's Cece. You gave me your password 3 months ago. I go, crazy. Have you found my birth mom? I'm actually in Melbourne at the moment. Like, where is she? She's like, oh, I don't know, but found your dad and he's got 2 kids and you've got 3 brothers and blah, 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 and all, and sends me these photos. And I looked at my birth father and I go, oh, that doesn't really look like me. Looked at Cole, my half brother, and was like, oh, maybe. And then I see a picture of Cooper and I was like, that looks exactly like I do. And Bridget saw a picture of Cooper and was like,
That's him.
Yeah. And like, they're a little bit younger than me, but when I see pictures of Cooper, I go, oh, that's what I used to look like before I got fat. So, yeah, but that was when I saw Cooper, I was like, holy shit, this is real. And then we flew over to London, met them all. Bridget came with me. Mum came with me. So they love it. They think it's hilarious. And now she's caught up with them multiple times. We've been to Thanksgiving a few times. We're going to Thanksgiving this year again. So
yeah, so you're still
Mum's actually
super
hell
connected.
annoying. I can't keep her away from the original family.
Like, Mum, they're mine.
Yeah, kind of.
They're not yours, they're mine.
But I think she knows that, like, I love her and she's my mum. And this is just like this really interesting thing.
Yeah.
It's not, and even when with my dad, I said, like, even though this is like I'm going to meet my biological father, like, you're still my dad. And he was like, oh, yeah, of course. It's good.
What did you feel like going over to meet them? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Were you worried?
I think I was nervous, but more just the social, like, what do you wear when you meet your father?
Also, what do you small talk about? Because, like, that person's a stranger, but you shared some genetic material.
I feel like
So
the
it was-
small talk's fine because you're like, you've got a whole lifetime to catch up on. But it's like, what do you wear? That's fair.
Oh, but it was all these little small social things that I would be embarrassing, like, or awkward about if I was just meeting some person down the street for a coffee.
Imagine if he didn't have toilet paper and you had to use his towel.
What a way to meet him. And he goes, oh, well, I had this other kid and I fucked him right off back where he came from.
Imagine it Googled you. That was the first thing that popped up. Proud of you, son.
Love that. So it turns out, the family I was raised with, teachers, nurses, tradies, and then I studied like finance and accounting, which is a bit weird. I meet him. He works in finance. His 2 kids work in finance. His father works in finance. I've got this scar on my shoulder where I had a shoulder reconstruction. He has the same scar and has had the same surgery. Like, we have all these similarities. We have similar interests. It's like insane. So we go, oh, let's just have a coffee and, we'll go to what is it in London? Pret a Manga, whatever it is.
Pret a Mange, yeah.
Pret, yeah, just Pret.
Just Pret. Yeah, just a Pret. We'll meet at Pret.
The Lokes call it Pret.
So we went to Pret at 10 a.m. and then I think at 4 p.m. we were like, shit, I should get back to the family. You should get back to your family. Like, we just sat there for 6 hours. And now years later, I'm having beers with Cooper, my half brother. And I said, oh, what was it like? Because they were like back at the apartment and they're texting him going like, is everything okay? They thought he's been gone for 6 hours. I wonder if this guy's like trying to scam him or ask for money.
Like, you're trying to scam.
Yeah.
What a
'Cause
finance
they're like,
brain.
but they're just like,
Fair,
they went for a
though.
coffee 6 hours ago.
Yeah.
Dad's not answering his phone.
This
We
guy
don't
that
know
comes
this
out
guy.
of the blue after
Yeah.
30 years.
And so we get along really well now. Like, we message most weeks, and like every time I'm in the States, I catch up with them. And it took them a few years to like go, oh, by the way, like when we first met you, we thought you were like scamming the family for me.
And then
He
we
was
saw you and we realised that we actually looked quite alike.
We got quite a lot. Oh, but also, I think they're like not flashy people, but Joel, my birth father, is like done all right, which kind of makes you a bit more skeptical when like someone that's done all right and has a bit of money that some guy just rocks up on the doorstep. And I think in the letter I wrote, I was like, I'm not asking for an apology. You don't owe me anything. Like, I don't want anything. I just think it's like really interesting. And I said like, oh, I'm going to be in London. Like, if you want to catch up for a coffee. And I think just making that really clear. And even he said like, oh, I'll fly you over. And I was like, no, like that's not what this is.
He probably feels a lot of guilt in a way.
He did. And then the first week, because I was in London for about a week, by the end of the week, like a few beers in, he was like, oh, it's actually worked out great because your mum's awesome. And if I went back and like whatever, I wouldn't have met my wife, Beth. I wouldn't have had my kids, Cooper and Cole. But it took him like 3 or 4 days to kind of go, oh, hang on, everyone's a winner here.
Yeah.
There's no loser in this scenario. But of course, at first he felt guilty and he was conflicted and like this was really strange. But after a few days, he was like, oh, everyone's won.
It probably took for him to meet your mum and see the amazing life that you were provided. Yeah. And he probably also would have had the similar realization to what your biological mother had of like, we wouldn't have been able to create that environment for him, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm a winner because I got raised by an awesome family.
Yeah.
Mum and dad couldn't have kids, and then they got one, and then Joel got to live his life, meet his now wife, and have his family. So
Was there any like I find this interesting. You see these studies that they do around the world. Was there anything that really stood out for you in terms of nature versus nurture, like personality traits or anything where you're like, you have never known each other for 30 years, but you had these uncanny, and I don't mean like your job. I mean more like,
well,
any-
yeah, I don't know, because the jobs are not, because it was a weird sort of, like, finance was a bit left field in my family, but I
Yeah.
just found it really natural, and I still just find it interesting, as nerdy as that is to say.
yeah, like
And-
laughs. Like, do you have the same laughs? Do you have the same mannerisms?
Oh.
Do you have the same personality traits? Like things that you feel like, I wonder if they are just traits that we've learned from being in the family I'm in, or if they're just ingrained in you.
I don't know.
It's okay if the answer's no.
No, but I'm a big. I've found this topic very interesting, and
Yeah.
could spend a lot of time thinking about it, because I do think, you know, that thing where you like, if you want to buy a Porsche, that suddenly when you drive, you just see Porsches all everywhere. I think like you see similarities because you're looking for them.
Yeah.
And so Cooper's now married, and he goes off to the bathroom, and I was chatting with his wife, and Sharky goes, "Oh, every time we come to this pizza beer place, like he's off to the bathroom because he's like, he's no good with gluten, but he just loves pizza and beer." And I'm like, I also like pizza and beer, and I also
I'm not
don't
good.
do well with gluten. And we
Yeah.
go, is it because we're brothers and we're from
Yeah.
the same patch, or is it because gluten
Yeah.
sucks? Like, so I don't know, but there's so many similarities. And my mum actually got hell annoying because anytime we like breathe, she's like, "Oh my god, you breathe the same as you breathe," and just like was pointing out anything that could possibly happen.
I just love how like encouraging and wanting to be a part of it that your mum was. Like, I
Yep.
think that that's really beautiful.
Yep.
One other part to your story that is, you know, I think I can only imagine that it would have been really hard for you to grapple with is that you didn't meet your birth mother at all.
No,
You found out that she had passed away.
Yep. Last year she passed away.
Mm.
I actually found out 15 minutes before Toni and I did a 24-hour live stream. So I just get this phone and they go, "Hey, mate, like this is your third uncle that you've never met. I felt like you should know this." And I was like, "Thanks. I'm going to try and not think about that for 24 hours."
Yeah. Now I
How-
have to be in front of a camera for
Yeah. But if you watch that live stream back, you can tell.
tell.
Yeah.
How did that person? So what's the connection, and how did you find your birth mum, and how did they know who you were?
She was one of 8, and like the siblings were all over the place. And one of her brothers married this lovely lady, and the lady and her were friends back in the day. And so I think just word got through. They hadn't seen her for 30 odd years either. Like when I went to her funeral, they were like asking me for information. And I was like, "Oh, I thought I was going to come here and ask you for information." So
Right.
I think she was a bit embarrassed, like that she got pregnant unexpectedly, because she was like, "Oh, this is the kind of thing that people from my area do. Like this is, you know, the type of thing my family does." Is
She
they-"
didn't want to lean into a type of
Yeah, and I-
stereotype.
Yeah, and I think she was a bit embarrassed by it, and then I think she regretted a lot of things, and so she just sort of went and lived her own life, and somehow it got back to the family. Or when she passed away, the police looked up and called the family, and they messaged me on Facebook and said, "Oh, can we give you a call? We thought you should know." And then I was actually in London when the funeral was on, and they pushed the funeral back a week. So I didn't know at the time because I think they were just being polite. They said, "Oh, we've had to delay it." But then I found out, we had a few drinks after, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we just thought it was the right thing to do," which I really appreciate. But yeah, she lived a very separate life.
Was there a sense of you that felt like you were robbed of closure?
In one way, it was like the ultimate closure because that was it. But I still think like I could have, I didn't try very hard because I kind of assumed she didn't want to be found. And I think I kind of just wanted to respect that choice. But or maybe one day I'll just wake up and go, "Nah, I'm going to go find her today." Or maybe one day she'll change her mind and reach out to me. And so you're kind of living with this like small bit of hope, and then suddenly like you don't have that hope anymore. And I was chatting to a therapist, and I said, "I'm like grieving, but I don't know them. It doesn't make sense." And she said, "Well, you're actually grieving the opportunity, and that's actually a very normal thing." And when she said that, I was like, "Oh, that actually makes sense." I'm like, I felt sad because I'd lost that 1% chance, and the difference between 1% and 0% is actually a lot.
Yeah.
And so I thought, "Oh, well, I've missed my chance there." But I don't know if this is strange. I was with my daughter Mabel and Bridge when I found out, and I just kind of went, "Oh, I've got my own beautiful family now, and that's okay." So it was, it took a while to kind of get my head around it, especially as I had to do that live stream, so I didn't get to process it that much. But then, yeah, like I'm like kind of cut because I'm like, well, do I regret not trying while I had the chance? But I think the answer is no, because
You can't live like that, can you?
no, but I also like she did something so selfless for me, and if she decides that she's moving on, then you know what, I owe you one. So I'll honour and respect that decision.
And not everyone would look at it like that, for
Yeah.
sure. Like there would be people that look at it very differently. Like you still owe me. Like you still brought me into this world and you owe me answers. And there'd be people that look at it like that. And I think that would be a very dangerous place for you to live.
Yeah,
And it is the opportunity that is hard for you. Not for you, but I mean people. Like when you lose the option to do something, sometimes it makes the situation worse than what it was when you know the option's there.
Well, I don't like. You hear those stories where like someone dies and they take their answers with them, or they take the truth to the grave, or those sort of sayings. But there's no question I really have. The only thing I really wanted to say to her was thank you, and that it's okay, because I know that she and a lot of other birth mothers experience a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it feels strange for you to live with the guilt. You don't need to, because I'm actually fine. So I'd hate her to live with that if she didn't have to.
Yeah, there's almost a sense of like if she had have realised the gift that she gave your parents, she might have felt differently. And it's really sad to hear that a lot of, birthing mums feel shame and feel guilt about their decisions, when that's probably the best thing that ever happened to your parents, And
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess you would have a bit of a new perspective on that as well, because I know that you and Bridget, you didn't have quite a smooth sailing journey to getting your daughter Mabel.
Yeah. No, Mabel's an IVF baby.
A geriatric IVF baby.
A geriatric IVF baby. We decided we were going to – the reason I actually did the first adoption video is because we decided we were going to have kids, and then we go, cool, let's go get checked and do family history and do all that stuff. And that's when I started thinking about being adopted heaps more, because suddenly I didn't have all this family history. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have ever thought about it.
Sarah Davidson joined the podcast from Seize the Yay, and I remember there was this one sentence that she said that I was like, wow, that's so interesting. When she was pregnant, she realised that it was the first time she was ever going to see someone who had the same DNA as her. And that made her think a lot more about her adoption as well.
Yeah, so Mabel was the first blood relative I've ever lived with, which is crazy. And then I had met my biological father before Mabel, but it was the first hour was just me and Mabel, because Bridge had a few complications and stuff, so she was in another theatre in the hospital. But it was just the two of us, and it was like the craziest, best hour of my life. It was awesome. But yeah, we definitely – also because, it was a while coming, which made it feel pretty special. And I think talking to mum, like no one understands how tough it is than my mum from what she went through. But IVF is like really hard, and we did it during COVID.
Yeah.
Normally the guy would go in and leave his like sample in the hospital, but during COVID, you weren't allowed to go into the hospital. Have you had any friends that had to go through this?
I have, yeah.
The only reason I know about this is because I've heard you talk about it.
How have you experienced this?
I've got embryos. So like I've got eggs and embryos, but my husband has done them frozen. He's done them fresh. He's been there to ejaculate on the second of timing that I'm like under anesthetic. Like, yeah.
Well, the first time I went, they're like, we need you to bring it in.
Yeah. And it has to be at a quick time frame.
I don't want to use the word fresh because how disgusting. You've got 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I lived in Richmond at the time and didn't own a car, so I went in an Uber with it in a jar in my pocket.
So funny.
And then Toni knew what I was doing because I was going to be late to work that day, and I was like, I'm on the radio at 9. I'm going to drop this off at 8 a.m, get to the radio station. So at like 7:50, it's game time. And so Toni's texting me the whole time being like, what are you doing? And sending me like, and
You're like, you're making this really fucking hard.
well,
That's an airplane mode situation.
But she was like, am I helping? Like, no, you're not helping at all. So then I get in the Uber, and the Uber driver sees hospital. He goes, is it a hurry? And I was like, no, we're all good, mate, just down the road. And he's like, oh, okay, what's going on? And I was like, oh, just an appointment. And he goes, yeah, what's going on?
Which is such a weird
None of your fucking business.
Tell me your medical history. What's up?
Kind of. And I thought he was just being polite, but I'm like, if someone tells you they're going to hospital and they're sheepish, like,
you don't
just
ask.
shut up.
Read the room.
Yeah. So then and you have to keep it warm. So I was like, had it in my jacket pocket, and I'm reaching in like where a gun would be if you're a gangster. Like that kind of.
You do give off gangster.
Yeah,
it's the threat, right? Like you don't show it, but you just do it.
And so because it's really awkward because you're rocking up to the front door with your jizz in your pocket. We always try to make a joke to like break the ice a little bit. You guys worked in the medical field. It's never funny, hey, because you've heard all the jokes before.
Oh, it's never funny. But you're like, oh, that's funny. Yeah.
We call that being a victim of medical comedy, is when you try to like break the ice and the doctor's like, fuck, shut the fuck. So I was like, it's so awkward. And of course, the girl at reception is like the hottest girl alive. And I'm just like, I don't know what, this just makes it so much worse that I have to like look you in the eye because you know what I've just been doing. And so I was like, well, I'll break the ice with a joke. This is probably worse than the toilet story.
I was wondering which one you were going to bring for an accidentally unfiltered.
You can decide whether you think this is funny or not as someone from the medical profession. I walked in and I've got my hand in my pocket and I looked at her and I went, where do I put it? And she goes, oh, you put the jar in the basket over there. And I went, oh, a jar?
Ryan.
That's how she reacted.
Oh,
That's how she reacted.
She's like, just fucking shut up.
Shut
Just
the fuck up.
Just go over it. You know what the worst one is for me? It's not sick. The one I've heard 1,000 times is when someone comes in with a broken elbow. They're like, let me tell you, it wasn't funny. It's a funny bone. You know, funny bone. You know, you hit your elbow. Yeah. And I'm like, fucking stop it.
I tell you what sucks.
I'm
it's
like,
their shit joke, but I'm judging you for it.
But
now.
also 10 years in, you still have to fake laugh at it every time someone says it.
To be fair, I doubt it was the first time she'd heard the joke.
I thought that was pretty unique.
Do you reckon?
Well,
Have you ever done it in there, or did you only ever do it from home and take it in? Because, I
had to do it in there because the actual time was similar. They're like, we're taking Bridget's eggs out now.
Yeah.
You got to do it right here, and like you got to get the timing right. And you'll never go into a room with less eye contact than the waiting room because all the guys they're in Melbourne. It's in East Melbourne. All the like soon to be dads drop the lady off at one hospital, and then they go to the hospital down the road to leave the sample at the IVF clinic. And so we all sort of see each other at the hospital. Then
you'll know.
We all get down there, and like everyone's looking down, and it's looking bad. And then you go into the room, and it's the most sterile room, but it had a green leather lazy boy, which is like that.
Ours had the same thing.
Was it the same seat? Oh my god, your husband and I have jerked it on the same chair.
When you get laser done, they put like a piece of paper towel down over the bed for hygiene reasons. They don't do that at the.
It's pretty much just.
Yeah.
It was just
Sorry,
a
they
chair.
just have a normal chair.
No, Keisha, you want mine? Okay, so the first time
I didn't let the record. So I didn't sit in the chair because I just started thinking about it.
No one touches anything.
There was an iPad there. Imagine the greasy fingers that have touched that screen.
No, we didn't have an iPad. We walked in.
Hang on, why the fuck were you there?
This is why it's funny. This is why it's funny.
When I did it, I'm like, I don't know if you know the difference between you and I, Britt, but we've got different plumbing.
We went in to get the jar. So you first of all, you go in, and I went with Ben for the day, like the first time, because he was just going to be a frozen sample. It wasn't the fresh. I wasn't doing anything that day.
Yep.
So we went in, and we went to get the sample. You go to a window, and you're like, I'm here to get a cup. Ben thought it was funny. This is Ben's awkward joke. They hand him a cup, and he goes, I'm going to need a bigger one. And they've probably heard of that 1,000 times too. She was like, just take the cup. Anyway, he goes
Not surprising. You actually don't. I could have had a significantly smaller cup.
No, it is. It's tiny. You could have like you have a teaspoon. But so
did they tell you that there can't be any saliva on it?
Yeah. They walk into
like,
Ben walks into the room and turns around, and I'm in the room. I walked in behind him. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, sorry, what? Don't you want me in here? And he was like,
do you not want to have children with me?
No, but he was like, babe, get out. Yeah. And I was like, I thought you'd want me to. And he was like, he's like, say less. He's like, you need to leave the room. But the room was like, it's so sterile. We had one magazine in case people were into magazines, a chair, and then we didn't get an iPad. We got a TV with like a remote that had like 3 porn things on it. Ben was like, I just had to go somewhere in my mind.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't.
But you know what? Good on you for going in with enthusiasm. I feel like you've been treated as the villain in this story, and you should be celebrated.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some masturbate. But the difference when it was fresh, and it's so funny. It's just a world that you don't understand unless you're in it. But like, I remember like the applause that Ben was given. I remember when I woke up. So I was going in, then they say
sorry. I know we're jumping times. I've just imagined he's gone, Britt, I need you to wait outside. And then you've gone, so I woke up like you've just slept at the door. It's like, when have you gone to bed in this? Like, what? When are you sleeping in this part of the story?
When it's fresh and the deposit is fresh, it's different, right? So, like, they want to time it that you are in the operating theatre and you have gone under. They have gone in. They've sucked the little eggs out with a vacuum, and almost to the point of sucking it out, they'd want as little time as possible to have gone past before they bring the sperm in, because they just want to be inseminating as soon as possible. They don't want them swimming around the little petri dish. So that's really hard timing, because you don't know what's going on in there, but you've communicated with the man that like this is about how long it's going to take us. Anyway, the applause for when I woke up for Ben, his timing was impeccable, Brittany. We barely got the egg out and the sperm, and he walked the sperm in, and I was like, are we applauding Ben for masturbating? I was like, is that where we are in this situation?
He's been training his whole life for that moment.
Yeah, it's so funny.
When Bridget gave birth, I passed out because I saw blood, and I'm not good with blood, and I like fell down, and the doctor came over to me and she says, like, she leans down, and I'm assuming she's going to say, like, it happens all the time, it's totally fine. And she just looked at me and went, that is so embarrassing for you, and just left me on the floor.
Do you know what? My partner works in situations where he's a doctor. He works in situations where that can happen a fair bit.
Yeah.
And he genuinely is like, we judge the fuck out of them.
Yeah, I felt it.
Get out of the way. This isn't about you right now.
Well, Ben got a round of applause. I got yelled at by the doctor, so.
Yes, I mean, yes, we do need to applause men more for sure. If you're on YouTube, you'll see what I'm doing.
You'll see one of the most subtle not quites you'll ever see.
But how, obviously you were successful. It took you many years.
Yep.
You ended up with your beautiful daughter, Mabel.
Yep.
What has life been like now that you are a dad and you're in this next chapter?
It's awesome. I love it. I don't know how people have 2 and 3 kids. Like Matt and Laura have just had 3. Are they insane? Because one is like carnage. Like Mabel's really fun at the moment. She's really funny and I love hanging out with her. But I'm like also a bit of an introvert and like need a bit of private time and a bit of quiet time. And I'm just like, when are you supposed to do that?
Doesn't happen.
Yeah. So the fact that people have multiple is insane. But it is really nice that I'm going to say it's like the same as a dog. Like there's someone in your house that doesn't really care about what happened at work or if something at work was stressful. Like they don't care. They're just so happy to see dad. Yeah. And it kind of just really, whatever's going on at, you know, politics, the world, the news, money, whatever. And then when I walk in, our house has got a really long wooden hallway down the middle of it. And the living area is at the back. It is nice. Thank you. But I walk in and I can just hear it. When she hears dad's home, she just runs down the hallway and it's like this huge event. Like I'm applauded like Ben was applauded at the thing like every day. So every day I get home and I feel like I'm a hero and I get a big cuddle and I'm like
it's very self-serving.
Yeah, it's very self. Well, she gets a cuddle too. And Bridget doesn't like having her in the bed and I have to like support Bridget in her stance, but I fucking love it because I'm a cuddler and a hugger and whatever. So just having a little like hot water bottle in the bed and she like comes in and goes, oh, Dad, like, you know, can I sleep with you, Dad? And I go, yeah.
Come in. Was there anything that you realised once you were a parent that you and Bridget like didn't align on, or different ways that you maybe wanted to bring Mabel up? Or I mean, you're in content as well.
Yeah.
Like I know that that's a pretty unique conversation, but it happens a lot in our world, particularly because of Matt and Laura. Like,
absolutely.
What are you okay with sharing stories about her? And
well, I would have shared everything and anything about Mabel. I would have her plastered, not as if like I'd want to, but I'm like, you know, it's just like an extension of my life. Is like there's this beautiful little girl that I love, and
you're so proud of her, and like
like annoyingly proud. And like I just want to tell everyone about how great she is. And Bridget was like, I don't want to put her online, and was like the complete opposite. And I was like, oh, and even Bridget herself like doesn't really like anytime something funny happens at home, I'll like get the phone out and film, and she'll just like no, like I just don't want to. And now like I stop annoying her, but she's like completely different. And so I think we're saying like whoever is the more conservative, they win, right? Is that what?
Yeah.
And so that's what we've done. But now that I've thought about it more, I have actually changed my mind, and I agree because, and I mean, we've probably all heard it. There's some horror stories and gross stuff, right? And so now I'm thinking when Mabel's like old enough to decide if like I would love nothing more than for her to like do a podcast with Dad or come and be in a thing. But I feel like she needs to decide that she wants to do that and knows like the consequences of it, because it's pretty easy for us to just drag them in and just assume they want to be a part of it. But when she because she knows what Dad does and she knows Dad works with Toni, and like when she's like,
and they talk.
And they talk. And so they're like really cute. And so she knows that, but when she's old enough to decide if she wants to do it, that's what it'll be. But yeah, if I was with someone, like I probably would have plastered all over it and probably would regret it.
It's an interesting conversation because there's a lot of like hindsight applied as well.
Yep.
And I guess, you know, there's an aspect where when you're a content creator, that's how we have built our whole careers, all three of us, off of connecting with people through shared experiences and like sharing a different perspective and that kind of thing. And there would be such a world that is opened by talking about the different challenges and different aspects of raising a kid. But if you have a partner who is a little bit more like, no, I want to keep that private because I fear what could happen with the information. It's a hard line to walk, you know?
Well, I heard crazy stats. So I've started working with AIMCO, which is the Australian Influencer Marketing Council. And we've just put up, I didn't do much work of this, but the child and family influencers, we've put out an information sheet.
Yeah, right.
And guess how many people earn a full-time wage off like children being influencers in the world?
What, like they're not working at all and they're
Or
just their kids
they earn
are?
enough for it to be a full-time wage in their life.
I reckon it's actually probably a lot. What?
Really? I
It's
think
14,000 people. It's their full-time job.
It's just like
Through their
pushing their kids
child,
out on
yeah.
social media.
14,000 is
Yeah.
so much higher than what I thought it would be.
I thought it would be more. If you're
Really?
if you were talking about worldwide, I would have thought there'd be more than that now.
But that's to the extent of like, say Laura and Matt stopped working.
Yeah, and they've
only,
just-
Yeah. And so the thing is, and this is the work that we're doing in Hollywood, and as a trained actress, Brie, you would know, there's all these rules about when you're on set, a child can only work this many hours. There has to be this person
But
standing
they
by.
find loopholes.
Yeah, Frankie Muniz came on the podcast
Yeah,
and shared
right.
with Britt about all of the really sneaky loopholes that
So
they take.
they do the sneaky loopholes in Hollywood, but in influencer marketing, there are no rules.
Yeah.
They
It's Wild
haven't
Wild
be
West.
existed. They don't exist yet.
There's also no rules around like money for the children either.
Yeah, so they just brought out in the US that in some states, if the child's involved, the child has to have 15% put into a trust that they can't touch when they're 18. But if you're doing it, and again, they go, oh, cool, we'll film in the state across the street and don't have to do that. But I guess the point of this paper that they've brought out is it's like the start of the process. So that a brand, an influencer and an agency and the kid, it's like we all work off this one set of rules that we can all agree on. Because as you could imagine, like a brand says, oh, kid, do this, and the kid goes, cool, I'll hold up this thing and take a photo, and they don't really know what they're doing, and their parents go, sweet, I'm going to take some cash and we're going to buy a new TV, and it just gets really messy because there's no set of like understood we're all going to abide by these rules.
There's zero regulations.
Yeah.
And I know Laura and Matt, like we've had these conversations loads of times, and so I want to add this in on behalf of Laura, but Laura's kids are in a lot of content. Like everyone knows that if you
Yeah.
follow them, but they put the money into a trust fund for the kids. Like
Yeah,
that
sweet.
money goes in for the kids. She would never put her kids in something if they're not going to earn anything for it. And she's pretty strict with what she puts them in.
She's discerning, definitely.
Yeah, but they also feature their kids in their day-to-day. So
Yeah.
like that's obviously a decision that they've made not to hide their kids from just like day-to-day content.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Yeah.
you know, you guys don't want to feature Mabel in any capacity. But it's interesting that there's zero regulations.
I also think what you just said about the parents that could be their only job is the
Yep.
kid making money. That's a particular set of circumstances where you are so much more open to exploitation.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have an income that's funding it and they're the only, we see all this with Britney Spears' whole family, and especially if they come from an area where it's not as financially privileged, that kid has to work to provide for the whole family. So what you are and aren't going to be okay with will change because you're like,
Absolutely.
I'm seeing dollar signs and I don't have any other way to get an income for the rest of the family.
Yeah, and what gets really murky because it's with brands. You know how sunscreen's just gone through a big uproar?
Yeah.
Like it's been really crazy. Like imagine a brand says, this is sunscreen, you will not get sunburnt. Some 6-year-old says, cool, I'll hold it for a photo. And then people start coming after a 6-year-old because you know what I mean? Like they can't sign a contract or understand necessarily what it is. And then what happens? The brand goes, oh, well, they're the one getting the hate. We like whatever. Sorry,
Yeah.
we got the exposure we wanted, and it's fine. And there's sort of no right of reply. There's no insurance, or there's no sort of things to protect them. And so yeah, like it's a slippery slope. So I love watching family influencers. I think it's how cute. And I've got a huge movie coming out when Mabel says it's fine to post because I'm making all these videos and not posting them. But I'm the same. Even if there's something related, we'll put some money aside, and I feel like that's only fair. But even like what happens if a kid gets hurt on a shoot? There's no contract. There's no rules about insurance and stuff like that. So I'm spending a lot of time now because, like I said, Mabel's growing up and might want to do funds and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with AIMCO at the moment, which is really cool. So it's called the Child and Family Influencers Information Pack.
Yeah,
if
we can
anyone's
pop a link
interested.
to that in our
It's
show
a
notes.
different, ever-evolving world, isn't it? But it's definitely a world that needs to evolve because it's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Ryan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Sorry that I talked for so long that you got to get a parking fine.
No, I'm not. I was just every time I looked at my phone in it, I was like, just so everyone knows, I was like updating my parking because I was like,
Right.
fuck,
We
I was
shouldn't
talking to a
have expected
podcaster.
this to be any different though. Like the three of us get in a room, we just yap away.
Just yapping away. I've nearly lost my voice by the end of this, which is fantastic.
Don't you blame us?
I won't blame
God.
you guys. I'm actually off to Matt and Laura's now to do
Are you?
2 doting dads. And I actually brought a lasagna from Melbourne and stunk out a Qantas flight this morning
To
with
give
it.
to them.
They're going to enjoy that.
Well, we have a rule that you can't turn up to a new parent's house without a lasagna. They're
I
busy.
love a lasagna too.
Yeah. And so did a lot. If you want to be popular on a plane,
Well, I mean, maybe
roll in with a lasagna.
you should be saying I shouldn't turn up to a podcast without a lasagna because I could have done with a
Yeah,
lasagna.
right.
tonight.
Well,
Where's
it's funny.
our lasagna?
You know how you say you heard the same elbow joke so many times? I can't tell you how many times from the Qantas staff, and I sat right at the back of the plane, so I had to walk down the whole thing. 7 different people went, got enough for all of us?
Yeah, I
Got
know.
enough for all of us? And one lady was like, you can't take that to Sydney. You'll have to leave it here with me in the airport.
And you're like, please stop.
They've got rules and regulations.
There's rules and there's guidelines for that.
Look, we've got to get out of here. We'll talk for days.
Yeah.
For everyone who hasn't yet seen Toni and Ryan, we'll have links to their podcast.
Nah, don't
and their
worry.
YouTube.
Like and subscribe to Life Uncut
Yeah.
on YouTube, especially if you're overseas.
Yeah, we'll do a YouTube crossover.
No, you need to do that on your podcast. It doesn't help when you do it on ours.
If you're already here, then stay.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much
Thanks for
joining
having me.
us.
Thanks, legend.